I'm Dan and welcome to Airbrush Garage. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thanks for coming back. Today I'm going to be answering a question that I get a lot. Dan, do I need to be an artist in order to be good at airbrush? Well, the short answer is no. There is a little bit longer of an answer, but I'm going to explain it in a video of different ways that if you learn the basics, you can get really cool effects and paintings with an airbrush. So you don't technically need to have a big art background. But I also hear, well, I can't even draw a stick figure. I'm not going to be any good at airbrushing. Well, again, not true. Well, you can do anything you want. With some basic techniques and a little bit of practice, you'd be surprised at what you can do. So with that, if that's something you're interested in, stick around, consider subscribing, hit that bell so you get future notifications. A couple comments, good or bad, it really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. We're growing nice and steady. I really appreciate it. It's thanks to all you guys. Don't forget to check out all those Amazon affiliate links down below. That really helps the channel keep going as well. And with that, let's get started. All right, so we're going to tackle the question of, can I airbrush without being a really good artist? As I said in the intro, the short answer is yes. And why I say that is because there's a lot of tools that you can have at your disposal that you don't technically need to draw anything. Matter of fact, most airbrush artists, because of time is money, they don't take the time to hand draw out a lot of stuff either. They'll use templates or stencils, and I do it all the time. Say I'm going to do a portrait. Well, I don't have a stencil for that, but I'll use a projector. Well, it's going to take me half an hour to sketch all the proportions out and get everything right with a projector before I start airbrushing, and it didn't take me any talent to follow their projection. Where the talent does come in, it's not really talent in my opinion, it's practice, is you're going to take the skills that you learn with an airbrush, and you need to start with the basics. So if you need a basics video, I'll pop a card up above here. I do have videos on basics. Your basic shading, strokes, stagger strokes, lines, circles, stuff like that. You really need to learn airbrush basics first. Once you learn that, you can apply that to the templates. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go out and start painting portraits. That does take a lot of different techniques and skill, okay? But there is a lot of cool techniques that you can get with an airbrush because there's plenty of stencils, like this one's for the dead man's hand. I have a video on painted a guitar with one of those. I just used the stencil and basically applied the basic techniques of airbrushing. As you can see here, I just have a ton of stencils, skulls. I don't draw skulls. I know there's guys out there that just freehand skulls with an airbrush. I can do that as well, but a lot of times it's just easier for me to pick up a template that I got at my disposal, fog it in, get my outline, and then again apply really most of its basic techniques that you would learn in the beginning, and you can make some really cool skulls or whatever stencils that you have. Where being an artist comes in allows you to be a little bit more limitless, where if you don't have the stencil or you need a line drawing, you might be able to sketch it up quick. So the only thing that not being a trained artist or having artistic ability would hamper you is if you got to break them away from the stencils. Way back over 20 years ago, I used to just sketch with a pencil. I liked art, so I did have an interest in art. But even nowadays, in order to keep up, because I don't get to do a lot of portraits anymore, and I do love doing portraits, but in order to keep up with something like that, I got to keep my skills a little sharp. So I use books. I usually get them online. I have a really cool book on portraits that I like that I've been working through. I've went through it one time before. I'm going through it again because it's been years. And here's a good example. Like, I'll just sit in front of the couch and I'll go through the book and I'll paint ears. Well, you're like, well, okay, why do I want to paint an ear? Well, because if you look real close, ears, as you learn a little bit about structure and stuff like that, say of a portrait or anything that you're painting, say a skull, with this particular example with the ear, you see the ears are all tubes. So it goes back to your basic airbrushing. You're learning how to paint a cylinder. Well, if you are able to airbrush and make a cylinder look like a cylinder, you'd find that it's going to be a lot easier to make an ear look more realistic. Same thing with eyes or noses. Noses don't have a lot of hard lines, but I'll sit there and I'll sketch these out with a pencil, and it really helps me see where the highlights are and the hard lines are, because there's not a lot of hard lines on a nose. So what are you going to apply? You're going to apply some basic shading that you learned in the beginning. So as you can see, you don't need to be a really, really good artist. You just need to be able to transfer that artwork via tracing paper or a projector and then apply those basic skills. Now, There are some more advanced techniques if you're talking about photorealism, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, can I get an airbrush and in a relatively short amount of time, after I learn the basic skills, make some really cool effects or pictures? And the answer to that is yes. So if you're interested in airbrushing and you're letting, oh, I'm not a good artist, stop you, don't let it stop you. Go check out some of the basic videos I have or other channels have. There's a lot of good ones out there. You got to start at the beginning no matter what you do. Then it's just a matter of how much practice and time you're going to put into it. And you'll get there. Well, all right, there you have it. That's my opinion. I don't think that you need to be a great artist in order to get started with airbrushing. Again, it's just really important that you learn the basic techniques. There's a lot of tools out there that you can use. All you have to do is go on Amazon or the internet. You could probably find a template for anything that you want to create or airbrush. The other thing is that I didn't mention is that, like, I have a Cricut machine. I print out my own stencils. Any image I have, I can scan it in, put it into the Cricut. I have videos on how to cut stencils out with the Cricut. So it's really limitless. And like I said, as long as you apply some basic techniques, you can achieve really good results with an airbrush. And like I said earlier, if you want to achieve photorealism, now you're talking about some more advanced techniques. Now that's going to take a little bit more training. With that, I hope I answered the question. If you like this type of content, again, you guys know the drill. Consider subscribing, hit those links, a couple comments. We're growing. Really appreciate it. Keep on watching, and we'll see you in the next video.